Rain poured like shattered glass against the city skyline that night, the kind of storm that makes the world seem lonelier than it is. Amelia Grayson sat inside her sleek black limousine, staring blankly at the raindrops streaking down the tinted glass. Her father, Richard Grayson, one of the city's most powerful billionaires, had just walked out on her again, another charity event, another excuse to avoid listening to her pain. She had everything money could buy, diamonds that glistened like stars, clothes from Paris, cars that turned heads, yet, inside, she felt emptier than ever. The city lights outside looked like tiny fires, burning for people who still had dreams. Amelia wasn't one of them anymore. But that night, fate had its own plan. The limousine broke down in the middle of nowhere, a forgotten street on the edge of the industrial district, where puddles reflected dim neon signs and the smell of oil hung thick in the air. The driver stepped out, trying to fix it, but within minutes admitted defeat. He called for assistance, but even the roadside service refused to come in such a storm. Amelia sighed, her diamond heels clicking against the wet pavement as she stepped out. For the first time in years, she felt the cold. The rain soaked through her expensive coat, her mascara smudged down her cheeks, and she stood there, alone, a billionaire's daughter stranded in the heart of the working-class world. If you believe kindness still exists in this world, if you believe second chances can come from the most unexpected places, then pause for a moment and like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Because what happens next will remind you that hearts, not status, define true worth. Down the street, a flickering light from a small garage caught her attention. The sign read, Mike's Auto Repairs, its paint faded and letters chipped. She hesitated, clutching her purse close, before walking toward it. The rain had turned to a mist now, wrapping the street in a ghostly silence. Inside, she saw a man, mid-30s, in worn jeans and a grease-stained shirt, his hands darkened with oil but his eyes soft with focus. He was repairing an old motorcycle under a single dangling bulb. Amelia's presence startled him. He looked up, confused, as she stood there in her drenched designer coat, water dripping from her hair like pearls. She explained her car had broken down nearby. Without hesitation, the man wiped his hands, grabbed his tools, and followed her into the rain. He introduced himself simply as Ethan. His voice was calm, deep, with a kindness that didn't ask questions. Within minutes, he had the limousine's hood open, his hands moving with confidence. The driver tried to assist, but Ethan waved him off gently, insisting he could handle it. Amelia watched from under the umbrella, unsure what to say. She had met hundreds of people, businessmen, celebrities, politicians, but there was something about this quiet mechanic that felt different. The rain stopped. Ethan managed to start the engine, and when the car roared back to life, Amelia's heart fluttered in relief. She offered him a blank check, expecting gratitude or excitement, but he just smiled and said softly, "Ma'am, I don't take money for helping someone in need." Amelia froze. No one had ever refused her money before. She was used to buying gratitude, not earning it. For the first time, she didn't know how to respond. Ethan simply added, "If you really want to thank me, just be kind to someone someday. That's all." Then he turned back toward his small garage, disappearing into the glow of that single light. That night, Amelia couldn't sleep. She kept replaying his words, his calm expression, his quiet strength. She had spent her life surrounded by people who only saw her last name, Grayson. But Ethan hadn't cared. He didn't see a billionaire's daughter, he saw a human being who needed help. The next morning, she made an impulsive decision. She returned to that same garage, this time in plain clothes and without her limousine. Ethan was there again, working on a rusty old car while a small boy, maybe 7 years old, sat nearby, doing homework on a wooden crate. The boy's face lit up when he saw her. Ethan smiled faintly and said, "This is my son, Noah." Amelia's heart softened. The boy's shoes were torn, his clothes worn, but his eyes held dreams brighter than any diamond she owned. She learned that Ethan had lost his wife years ago to an illness. Since then, he had been raising Noah alone, working long nights, never complaining. The garage wasn't just his workplace, it was his world. Days turned into weeks. Amelia found herself visiting often, offering to bring supplies, food, and sometimes just company. She began to learn what real life looked like, the quiet struggle, the simple joys, the raw truth behind smiles. For the first time in her life, she started feeling alive. She watched Ethan help elderly customers who couldn't pay in full, fix a neighbor's car for free, and give Noah lessons about honesty and gratitude. His life wasn't easy, but he carried it with dignity. And Amelia, the girl who had been born into luxury, felt humbled every time she stepped into that small garage. One evening, as the sun set behind the skyline, Amelia sat beside Noah, helping him with his homework. The boy asked her a simple question that pierced her heart, "Miss Amelia, do you think rich people are happier?" She paused, her eyes misting. "No, Noah," she whispered. "Sometimes the richest people are the loneliest ones." That night, when Ethan walked her to her car, she finally confessed something. "You've changed the way I see the world," she said. "I used to think kindness was weakness. Now I know it's the greatest strength." Ethan smiled, his eyes reflecting the fading orange light. "Kindness doesn't make you weak," he said softly. "It reminds you that you still have a heart." But just when Amelia thought she had found a new meaning in life, reality came crashing down. Her father found out. When Richard Grayson heard that his daughter, the heir to his empire, was spending time in a mechanic's garage, he exploded in fury. He sent guards to bring her home, and when she refused, he cut her off financially. He threatened Ethan, accusing him of trying to manipulate her for money. Ethan stood tall, refusing to bow. "I don't need your money," he said calmly when Richard confronted him. "But I do need you to understand, your daughter deserves the right to choose her own happiness." Richard laughed, dismissing him as foolish. He pulled Amelia away, warning her that she was destroying her reputation. For days, Amelia was trapped in her mansion again, the same walls that once felt luxurious now felt like a prison. She tried calling Ethan, but his number was disconnected. Rumors spread quickly in the city, tabloids mocked her for falling for a mechanic. She felt her world crumble again. Until one night, she saw something that changed everything. A local news channel aired a short story about a small garage owner named Ethan Walker who had been hospitalized after saving a boy from a car accident. That boy was not Noah, it was a stranger's child who had run onto the road. Ethan had pushed the boy to safety and taken the hit himself. He was in critical condition. Amelia's heart broke. She rushed to the hospital, her father's warnings forgotten. When she saw Ethan lying there, pale but breathing, she couldn't hold back tears. Noah sat quietly by his bedside, holding his father's rough hand. Amelia knelt beside him, whispering, "You saved another life, even when you already gave so much." Ethan opened his eyes faintly. "Kindness doesn't stop just because life gets hard," he murmured. "Promise me you'll keep being kind, Amelia. The world needs more of it." She nodded, holding his hand tightly. Ethan eventually recovered, though his leg was badly injured. During his recovery, Amelia stayed by his side, reading to Noah, helping around the garage, learning the trade just to ease his burden. Her father watched from afar, realizing that his daughter had found a happiness that money could never provide. One morning, Richard visited the garage quietly. Without a word, he placed a document on Ethan's desk, a proposal to fund a new workshop, larger and better equipped. "She taught me something," he said quietly, glancing at Amelia. "You can't buy kindness, but you can honor it." Ethan accepted, not for himself, but for the people around him, to help others more easily. And Amelia? She stayed. Not because she needed to, but because she wanted to. Together, they turned that small garage into a place of hope, where people from all walks of life came not just for car repairs, but for warmth, honesty, and a reminder that good hearts still exist. Months later, as the city lights shimmered beyond the horizon, Amelia stood outside the new workshop, Walker and Grayson Auto Care, built on kindness, and smiled. She had finally found peace. Not in wealth, not in fame, but in love and purpose. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can change lives, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Because somewhere out there, another heart is waiting for hope, just like Amelia found hers. And before this story ends, I have a special request: comment below. Speech balloon, kindness still matters. Because maybe, just maybe, your words will inspire someone else to believe again. As the night sky settled over the city, Amelia looked up, whispering softly to herself, "I was once lost in a world of luxury, but a mechanic's kindness showed me what it means to truly live." And with that, she smiled, not the perfect smile of a billionaire's daughter, but the genuine, unguarded smile of a woman reborn by love, kindness, and the beauty of a humble heart. The end. Red Heart.